What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday afternoon, almost to the end of another work week. And I thought I'd go ahead and put together a quick video to talk about the Seahawks, who got a little bit of representation on the 2021 NFL All Pro team. I personally put a little bit of stock into making All Pro teams. I think that the ability to make an All Pro team in football is the ultimate test of whether or not you are being recognized as being one of the best players in the league, that you are being recognized as somebody who is truly deserving of high accolades. And I think it has some bearing into whether or not you make the Hall of Fame one day, your ability to make it to these All Pro teams. It's very hard to make an All Pro team, especially at some positions. You have to be one of the two best. In some cases, you have to even be one of the number one best player at your position to make it. I think there's a lot more credibility here than the Pro Bowl. A lot of people get wrapped up in the Pro Bowl. They want this guy to make the Pro Bowl. They want that guy to make the Pro Bowl. They want their guys to make the Pro Bowl. I always kind of say, it's a popularity contest. It's just an opportunity to have a little bit of fun in Hawaii for the most part. Do they still do it in Hawaii? I'm not even sure if they do that anymore. But the All Pro team is more serious. So let's go ahead and take a look at which Seahawks got representation here. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the equation by half and tell you that not a single Seattle Seahawk got an all-pro vote on offense. Not a single one of their offensive players got a vote on the all-pro team, and I mean, I can't argue it, right? There's no way you can argue it. There's nobody on this offense that I think anybody would argue belongs on the all-pro team except for, I guess, Tyler Lockett, and Tyler Lockett's not a top 5 wide receiver. Tyler Lockett's probably not even a top 8 wide receiver in the league this year. He missed a game. He had a couple of relatively quiet games, so I'm certainly not going to argue that, but he's the one guy on the offense that maybe you could have gotten behind a little bit. So, yeah, there's nothing going on here in the offense. Let's go over to the defense, and we can pretty quickly find our one actual member of the All-Pro team. Bobby Wagner, the middle linebacker who nearly broke records, broke his own record, and then had his record broken for single season tackles, has barely made the All Pro second team. We also had some representation in the form of Quandre Diggs almost making second team. We also had Michael Dickson almost make second team. And then we also had Jordan Brooks get one vote, and we had Nick Bellore get one vote. So right away, the thing that really stands out to you is that we didn't have a single player make All-Pro first team, and I can't argue that. Look, as a fan of a Bobby Wagner, I'm sad he didn't make All-Pro first team. He's somebody who is realistically becoming one of the 5 best players ever at his position, maybe. And other more all pro accolades are just going to add more kindling into that fire that is Bobby Wagner's career. And I love Bobby. So, as a fan of Bobby Wagner, I'm sad he didn't make all pro first team. But I believe that he didn't really deserve to make all pro first team. He basically missed the last 2 games, and when he played, he was a tackle farmer, but he wasn't making big plays. He wasn't making plays in the backfield. He wasn't taking the ball away. He had 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, like 2 or 3 tackles for loss. I think it was like 5 pass deflections. Not really a playmaker. He's certainly good, don't get me wrong, and I believe he deserves his spot on the second team All-Pro. But if I'm being objective here, and that's what I try to be on this channel, I try to be real, I don't think he deserved to be first team, so I'm cool with that. If he had played all 17 games all the way through, I think he very possibly would have made it just because he would have had around 200 tackles, but that's not what happened. And if you take a look at this linebacker list here, you can see that you have Micah Parsons, Darius Leonard, Devondre Campbell, then Demario Davis, Roquan Smith, and Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner barely made second team. He got 7 votes. Levante David got 3. So, I mean, it's not like he only made it by 1 vote or anything, but he was the 6th man out of 6 linebackers. And I don't know if Devondre Campbell has actually had a better year than Bobby Wagner, but Campbell was on a much better team overall, so it makes some sense why he would get some credit there. I don't know if Demario Davis and Roquan Smith were actually better than Bobby Wagner, but missing basically the last two games, I think, kind of did Bobby in terms of his ability to have a chance to make first team. So, second team is certainly not bad. It's not something that will put a ton of firewood on that Hall of Fame fire for Bobby, but he's already there anyway, right? So Bobby made second team. He was the only player on the Seahawks to make either of the teams. Um, if you go down to, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you go down further on the linebacker list, you'll see Jordan Brooks got one vote, which, I mean, he's a good player. He did some good stuff. I know he had a ton of tackles, but there are gaps in his game, man. There are gaps in his game. I'm finding it hard to believe that Jordan Brooks was a top 3 linebacker in the NFL this year. But with time, maybe he can get there. As for a couple of the guys who almost made an All-Pro team, you got Quandre Diggs, who, if there was like a fourth team, if there was like a fourth All-Pro team, I guess, he would have had a shot at it. Like, if you take a look at the list here, you've got Kevin Byrd, Biard, Jordan Poyer are first team, Buda Baker and Justin Simmons are second team, Micah Hyde and Derwin James would make the hypothetical third team, and then I guess Quandre Diggs would make the fourth team if there was such a thing. He picked up 3 votes, tying with Marcus Williams of the Saints. Um, I'll say what I usually say about Quandre Diggs. He had a great year. He played awesome. I think he did everything we could ever ask a Quandre Diggs to do. But what we ask Quandre Diggs to do is just not nearly as splashy as what you will see from other safeties. Guys who routinely come up and make plays in the run game. Guys who come up and make plays in the backfield. Guys who blitz. Obviously, Jamal Adams is meant to be the all-pro safety around here, and that didn't really manifest itself this year. I don't think he played badly at all, don't get me wrong, but, I mean, he certainly didn't belong on any kind of all-pro team this year, so I think Quandre Diggs getting some representation here with 3 votes, finishing 8th overall, 7th overall. I think that's probably pretty fair, so good for Quandre Diggs. I don't know what his future holds, but he had a year that deserves some accolades. But him missing out on the All-Pro team, I'm not really going to argue with. There are other safeties in the league that just are asked to do more than Quandre. But Quandre does everything he's asked to do here. So that seems probably about reasonable to me. And our other 2 almost selections, I'm going to call them almost selections because we didn't actually get them, were on special teams. So punter, you had A.J. Cole. First team, Brian Anger of the Cowboys was second team. Was Brian Anger the punter that Jacksonville took instead of Russell Wilson? I think he was. I'm going to look this up after I cut this video, but I'm pretty sure he was. Michael Dickson made the hypothetical third team with 5 votes. So I don't know if this was maybe because the Seahawks didn't make the playoffs. I don't know if it was because Michael Dickson punted so much it kind of diluted things a little bit. I don't know if this was because Michael Dickson didn't play great the last couple of games. I mean, he barely punted in the last game. In the snow game, he was kind of rough. But I think a lot of us expected Dickson to show up on the All-Pro team in some capacity, first team or second team. But again, it's punting. Like, it's just kind of a goofy little meme thing. So I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers to really pinpoint how I felt Dickson played compared to Anger and Cole. I kind of expected him to make All-Pro, though, in some capacity. And we also had 1 vote for a special teamer, Nick Bellore. So that's it for our representation on the All-Pro team this year. This is something that I put stock into. This is something that I think means something unlike the Pro Bowl. So that's all we got, and that's probably all we deserve. 1 player actually made All-Pro, 2 guys came relatively close, and 2 guys picked up a vote. And hopefully next year we can get back closer to the top of this. Maybe we can get some defensive linemen on that All-Pro team. That'd be real nice. Love to see Jordan Brooks become an All-Pro level player by moving to his natural position. If Jamal Adams can have a full season where he's doing all the things that we know Jamal Adams can do, I would expect him to be able to get back in the All-Pro team's good graces. And of course, Maybe if you play your cards right, and maybe if things go the right way, you could see a guy like a Russell Wilson or a DK Metcalf work their way up into the All-Pro list. Maybe you bring in a Teron Armstead, and if he has a full season, he's got a shot. But this year, ultimately, there's not a whole lot to talk about here. Just a few guys that deserve a tip of the cap. And this is a pretty decent representation of why this team ultimately is not in the playoffs. Not enough top-end players playing at top-end levels this season. All right, let me know what you guys think down below. Once again, wrapping it up before we get out of here, Wagner makes All-Pro second team. Dickson makes the theoretical third team. Diggs makes the theoretical fourth team. Brooks and Bellore get 1 vote each. See you guys later. Go Hawks.